I want to tell you something before I start. I am not sharing this story because I want sympathy. I am 64 years old. I have lived long enough to know that sympathy does not change anything. It does not fill the silence in a house that used to be full of noise. It does not replace a phone call that stopped coming. It does not undo the years. I am sharing this because I think there are other women like me, sitting in quiet houses, looking at photographs, wondering where they went wrong, and I want them to know they are not alone. My name is Margaret. I am 64 years old. I live alone in a small house in Leeds, and I am going to tell you the story of the children I gave my entire life to, and the silence they gave me in return. I had 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter, Robert, James, and my youngest, my daughter, Sarah. I raised them alone. Their father left when Sarah was 2 years old. Robert was 8. James was 5. He did not leave dramatically. He just stopped coming home. One week he was there, the next week he was not, and the week after that, I stopped waiting for him. I never asked for anything from him. Not money, not an explanation, not an apology. I was 29 years old with 3 children and a part-time job at a supermarket, and I decided that the only way forward was forward. So I moved forward. I worked the early morning shift at the supermarket so I could be home when the children came back from school. I took on a second job doing ironing for neighbors on evenings and weekends. I made packed lunches every morning and checked homework every night and attended every parents' evening and every school play and every sports day. I was always there. Even when I was exhausted, even when my feet hurt and my back ached, and I had been awake since 4 in the morning, even when I had spent the whole day on my feet, and the last thing I wanted was to sit at a kitchen table and help with long division. I was always there. Robert was the clever one. He took to school naturally, and I pushed him as hard as I could because I could see what he was capable of. He went to university, the first person in our family to do so. I cried the day he got his acceptance letter, not in front of him. I waited until he had gone to bed and then I sat at the kitchen table and cried because I had done it. Whatever else had gone wrong in my life, I had done that. James was the quiet one, sensitive and careful, and the child who always noticed when something was wrong even when I was trying to hide it. He came and sat beside me once when I was crying in the kitchen at night. He must have been about 9, and he did not say anything. He just leaned his head against my arm and stayed there. I never forgot that. Sarah was my fire, strong-willed and funny, and the kind of child who argued about everything but loved fiercely once she decided you were worth it. She was the hardest to raise, and the one who made me laugh the most. I did not just feed them and clothe them. I knew them. I knew who they were. I knew what they needed. I knew which one needed pushing, and which one needed patience, and which one needed someone to simply sit beside them in the dark. I gave them everything I had. I did not say that to them. You do not say that to your children. You just do it. You give, and you assume, you trust, that somewhere underneath all the growing up and the moving on they know, that they carry it with them, that it matters. Robert got a good job in London after university. He called every Sunday for the first few years, then every other Sunday, then once a month, then, and I cannot tell you exactly when because it happened so gradually I did not notice until it had already happened. The calls stopped coming regularly at all. He got married. I met his wife twice before the wedding. I was not involved in the planning. I found out the date for months before it happened. I sat in a church pew on my son's wedding day and I smiled and I told everyone what a wonderful day it was. On the way home on the train, I counted the number of times he had hugged me that day. Once, when I arrived, James moved to Australia 11 years ago. Australia, 11 hours on a plane. He said it was for work. He said it was temporary. He has been there for 11 years. He has 2 children I have met 4 times. My grandchildren, 4 times in 11 years. He calls on birthdays and at Christmas. The calls are warm and full of good intentions and last about 20 minutes. I save them. I replay them sometimes when the house is very quiet. Sierra lives 40 minutes away. 40 minutes. I know because I have driven it. I used to drive it every few weeks when she first moved there. Then she got busy. Work, her partner, her life. The visits became less frequent, then occasional, then something we talked about more than we did. The last time I saw Sierra in person was 8 months ago. She came for lunch. She stayed for 2 hours. She was on her phone for most of it. I cleared the table after she left, and I stood at the kitchen sink and I looked out at the garden and I thought, I planted that apple tree the year Robert was born. I planted it so the children would have something to climb. Nobody has touched that tree in 20 years. I want to be careful here, because I am their mother, and I love them completely, and that has never changed and it never will. I am not telling this story to punish them or to make people think badly of them. They are not bad people. They are busy people. They have their own lives now. That is what you raise children for, to have their own lives. But somewhere in the having of those lives, I got left behind, and nobody told me that was going to happen. Nobody prepared me for the particular loneliness of being an old woman in a house full of things her children no longer come to see. Have a friend, Barbara, who I have coffee with on Tuesdays. She is 71, and her situation is similar to mine. We sit in her kitchen, and we talk about our children the way people talk about places they used to live, with love and with distance, with the quiet acceptance of people who have learned that some gaps do not close, no matter how much you wish they would. I am not bitter. I want to be clear about that. Bitterness would be easier in some ways. Bitterness has an energy to it. What I feel is quieter than that. It is just absence. The absence of what I thought my old age would look like. The absence of the noise and the chaos and the being needed that I spent 40 years of my life inside. I thought I would be a grandmother who saw her grandchildren every weekend. I thought Sunday lunches would be loud and crowded. I thought the house would still feel full, even after they left. I talk to my children when they call. I tell them I am fine. I ask about their lives. I listen carefully because those calls are what I have, and I do not want to waste a single minute of them being anything other than present. But when the call ends and the house goes quiet again, I sit in this kitchen and I look at that apple tree, and I think about a young woman of 29 who decided the only way forward was forward. She did everything right. She gave everything she had, and she is sitting here now, 64 years old, wondering if any of them know that. I think they do, in the way that children always know, somewhere deep down, what their parents gave up for them. They carry it, even when they do not show it. I have to believe that, because the alternative is too quiet to sit with. If you are a mother, listening to this, keep going. Keep giving, not because they will always show you that it mattered, but because it does matter. It always mattered. And if you are a son or a daughter listening to this, call your mother, not on her birthday, not at Christmas. Today, call her today, because somewhere there is a woman sitting in a quiet kitchen, looking at a garden she planted for you, and she would give anything to hear your voice.